Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Whatever Happened To, the series where we take a where are they now look at players who found success in the National Hockey League but are no longer permanent fixtures in the league, either due to controversy, poor play, or just rotten luck. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at a 13-year veteran of the league, as we ask, whatever happened to Christian Ehrhoff? After being selected 106th overall in the 4th round of the 2001 NHL entry draft by the San Jose Sharks, Christian Ehrhoff spent the next 2 seasons playing for the Krefeld Penguins of the German DEL, his home country's top domestic league, where he put up 51 points in 94 regular season games and 9 points in 17 playoff games. In doing so, Ehrhoff helped his team win some silverware in 2003 as Krefeld were crowned DEL champions. After helping to lead his team to a German League championship, Ehrhoff was about to leave his homeland behind and embark on his North American hockey career. Luckily for him, he wouldn't have to wait very long to suit up in the National Hockey League. After signing his entry-level contract on June 22, 2003, Ehrhoff made the San Jose Sharks roster out of training camp for the upcoming 03-04 NHL season. Ehrhoff's first outing in the league went pretty well, as he scored 1 goal and 11 assists for 12 points in 41 games. However, Ehrhoff's play wasn't always up to the standard that the San Jose Sharks expected, so he became a healthy scratch on several occasions and was even sent down to the Cleveland Barons, the Sharks' AHL affiliate team at the time, for considerable periods of time, where he put up 4 goals and 10 assists for 14 points in 27 AHL games. Ehrhoff remained in Cleveland during the 2004 playoffs, where the German defenseman notched 8 points in 9 games, but the Barons were eliminated in the division semi-finals by the Hamilton Bulldogs. Having taken to the ice in the NHL for the first time only 2 years after he was drafted, and having already showcased his strong skating and offensive capabilities at the NHL level, the former 4th-round pick was ready to cement his place as a key defenseman on the San Jose Sharks roster. But first, there was a lockout. During the 04-05 lockout, Ehrhoff returned to the Cleveland Barons of the AHL for another year of development and had a strong season with the team, as he scored 12 goals and 23 assists for 35 points in 79 games. This production earned Ehrhoff a call-up to the 2005 AHL All-Star Game to represent Planet USA. The AHL was a lot different back then. Whilst Ehrhoff would have a strong season, Cleveland missed out on the postseason as they were unable to clinch a playoff berth. The 05-06 season saw the NHL resume, and Ehrhoff returned to the San Jose Sharks roster. Ehrhoff's time in the AHL the season prior seemed to help his game greatly as his point production improved from his last year in the league, since he notched 5 goals and 18 assists for 23 points in 64 games. This production helped the Sharks make the postseason, where Ehrhoff put up an impressive 8 points in 11 games, but the Sharks were eliminated in the second round of the playoffs by the Edmonton Oilers. After his entry-level contract had been fulfilled, and having shown steady improvement whilst also leading the team's defensemen in points during their recent playoff run, on July 25, 2006, the Sharks signed Ehrhoff to a 2-year, $1.7 million contract extension worth an average annual value of $850,000 a season. The 06-07 NHL season saw Ehrhoff continue to improve his play in the league and see his point production increase, as he scored 10 goals and 23 assists for 33 points in 82 games, the first and only time in his career where he played the full 82 games in a season. This production helped the Sharks return to the playoffs once more, where Ehrhoff notched a somewhat disappointing 2 points in 11 games, as the Sharks were eliminated in the second round by the Detroit Red Wings. The 07-08 NHL season saw Ehrhoff's production take a dip for the first time in his NHL career, as he potted only a single goal and 21 assists for 22 points in 77 games. San Jose would return to the playoffs for the 3rd straight season, and Ehrhoff would pick up his production a bit by notching 5 points in 10 games, but the Sharks were eliminated in the second round once more, this time by the Dallas Stars. After his 2-year contract extension had expired, the San Jose Sharks knew that they wanted to keep their German defenseman around for the next few years and reward his play with a hefty pay rise in the coming seasons. So, on July 9th, 2008, they signed him to a 3-year, $9.3 million contract worth an average annual value of $3.1 million a season. 3 years after he became a full-time member of the National Hockey League, Ehrhoff had just signed his first multi-million-dollar a season contract, and it certainly wasn't going to be his last. The 08-09 NHL season saw Ehrhoff bounce back from a down year the season prior and put up solid numbers in the first season of his new contract, as he scored 8 goals and 34 assists for 42 points in 77 games. This production helped San Jose win the President's Trophy as the best team during the NHL regular season and return to the playoffs for the 4th straight season, but Ehrhoff was unable to register a single point in 6 games as the Sharks were eliminated in the first round by the Anaheim Ducks. Ehrhoff had established himself as a key defenseman for the Sharks over the past few seasons, but his time in San Jose was suddenly about to come to an end. After the 08-09 season had ended, it was announced on August 28, 2009 that the Sharks had traded Christian Ehrhoff, as well as prospect Brad Lukovich, to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for Patrick White and Daniel Rahimi. This move was made in order to free up salary cap space on the Sharks roster so they could acquire forward Danny Heatley from the Ottawa Senators. Only 1 year into his 3-year contract extension with the team, Ehrhoff was moving from a Californian Sunbelt franchise across the border to suit up for a Western Canadian team. This move would work in Ehrhoff's favour, however, as he would play the best hockey of his career for the Canadian franchise. The 09-10 NHL season saw Ehrhoff suit up for the Canucks for the first time and have his best season yet since joining the NHL, as the former 4th-round pick scored 14 goals and 30 assists for 44 points in 80 games. This strong production in his first season with the Western Canadian franchise was good enough to help Vancouver clinch a postseason berth, where Ehrhoff put up 7 points in 12 games, but the Canucks were eliminated in the second round of the playoffs by the Chicago Blackhawks. The 10-11 NHL season saw Ehrhoff take to the ice with Vancouver once again and have a great season with the team, as the German defenseman put up 14 goals and 36 assists for 50 points in 79 games, the best single-season production of Ehrhoff's entire NHL career. This career season for Ehrhoff helped Vancouver return to the playoffs, where he put up 12 points in 23 games, but the Canucks were eliminated in the Stanley Cup Finals by the Boston Bruins. So close, yet so far, Vancouver. Just make sure you don't riot! With the 10-11 NHL season over, and with his 3-year contract he signed back with San Jose finished, Christian Ehrhoff was unable to come to terms on a new contract with the Canucks, though it was rumoured that Ehrhoff was offered a 5-year, $23 million deal from the team. This inability to come to an agreement prompted Vancouver to trade Ehrhoff and his contract rights to the New York Islanders on June 28, 2011 in exchange for a 2012 4th-round pick, just 3 days before free agency began. However, the Islanders would also be unable to get Ehrhoff to sign on the dotted line under their self-imposed 1-day deadline to sign him, despite their contract offer supposedly being far more generous than what the Canucks had initially offered him. This prompted the Islanders to trade Ehrhoff the next day to the Buffalo Sabres for another 2012 4th-round pick. He's just going from one team to another, isn't he, folks? Then, on July 1st, 2011, the first day of the 2011 free agency, it was announced that Christian Ehrhoff had signed a massive 10-year, $40 million contract worth an average annual value of $4 million a season with the Buffalo Sabres. After being traded twice in just 2 days, Ehrhoff had just signed the contract of his career. However, things wouldn't go so well for either the player or the team in the seasons following. The 11-12 NHL season saw Ehrhoff put on the Buffalo Sabres jersey for the first time and take a step back compared to his play during the season prior, as he scored 5 goals and 27 assists for 32 points in 66 games during the first year of his shiny new contract. This somewhat disappointing year for the defenseman didn't help the Sabres' playoff chances, as Buffalo missed out on the postseason for the first time in 4 years. things hadn't gone so well for either Buffalo or Ehrhoff during his first year with the team. But it was surely going to get better, right? Well, no, it wasn't really. The 12-13 NHL season began in a lockout, so Ehrhoff, like many other NHL players at the time, headed overseas as he returned to the German DEL and suited up for the Krefeld Penguins once more, the team he had played for when he was drafted a decade ago. Ehrhoff's return to his former team was pretty successful, as he put up 8 goals and 18 assists for 26 points in 32 games before the NHL season began and Ehrhoff returned to Buffalo. Ehrhoff's strong start in Germany somewhat carried over to the NHL for the remainder of the season, as he scored 5 goals and 17 assists for 22 points in 47 games. This production, however, was not good enough to help Buffalo return to the playoffs, as the Sabres missed out on the postseason for the second straight year. The 13-14 NHL season saw Ehrhoff continue to put up similar point production compared to his past few seasons in Buffalo, as he potted 6 goals and 27 assists for 33 points in 79 games. This decline in production, compared to his previous career highs in Vancouver, impacted Buffalo's playoff hopes once more as they missed out on the playoffs once again. Although he was producing points at a consistent pace for Buffalo, Ehrhoff wasn't putting up the numbers that were expected of a player earning $4 million a year for the next 7 seasons. Due to his failure to match his previous career highs back in Vancouver in the past 3 years in Buffalo, the German defenseman wouldn't be part of the Sabres organisation for much longer. On June 29, 2014, it was announced that the Buffalo Sabres had decided to buy out the final 7 years of Ehrhoff's 10-year, $40 million contract with the team, thus making him an unrestricted free agent. Only 3 years after signing the contract of his career, Ehrhoff was left without an NHL team for the first time since joining the NHL. Ehrhoff didn't remain a UFA for long though, as it was announced on July 1st, 2014 that he had signed a 1-year, $4 million contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins. After a less than ideal departure from his past team, Ehrhoff was joining his 4th NHL team with the hopes of returning to his past career highs. However, things wouldn't go quite as he had planned. The 14-15 NHL season saw Ehrhoff suit up for the Pittsburgh Penguins and have a pretty poor season, even compared to his Buffalo standards, as he only managed to score 3 goals and 11 assists for 14 points in a season limited to just 49 games. Whilst the Penguins would make the playoffs, Ehrhoff's disappointing production when he was in the lineup kept him in the press box as a healthy scratch for the entirety of Pittsburgh's postseason run. After his 1-year contract with the Penguins had expired, and having performed well under expectations for the team, Pittsburgh had no interest in extending Ehrhoff's time with the team, thus making him an unrestricted free agent once more. Ehrhoff remained as a UFA until August 23, 2015, when it was announced that he had signed a 1-year, $1.5 million contract with the Los Angeles Kings. After seeing his point production seemingly self-destruct since setting his career high 5 years ago, Ehrhoff was looking to get healthy after an injury-riddled year and show that he could still be a legitimate point scorer given the right opportunity. However, things were about to go from bad to worse. The 15-16 NHL season saw Ehrhoff suit up for the LA Kings and take to the ice for the second Californian franchise of his career. Though he would be returning to a familiar place, the former 4th-round pick would be unable to find any sort of consistency in his game, as his point production dropped to even worse totals than ever before, since he only scored 2 goals and 8 assists for 10 points in 40 games. This lack of production prompted the Kings to place Ehrhoff on waivers and assign him to their AHL affiliate, the Ontario Reign, on February 11, 2016. After scoring 3 points in 5 games with the Ontario Reign, Ehrhoff would be on the move once more, as it was announced on February 26th that Ehrhoff had been traded to the Chicago Blackhawks for defenseman and former teammate Rob Scuderi. Having left another franchise behind following yet another disappointing performance, Ehrhoff would once again be getting a fresh start with a new team. Little did he know that this would be the last time that he would ever suit up in the National Hockey League. Ehrhoff finished the season with the Chicago Blackhawks, putting up 2 assists in 8 games to continue similar point production to his stint with the Kings. Though the Blackhawks would make the playoffs, Ehrhoff would remain a healthy scratch for the entirety of the Blackhawks postseason like he had the season prior in Pittsburgh. After the 15-16 NHL season ended, Ehrhoff understandably found little interest from NHL teams in signing him, due to his continued lack of production as an offensive defenseman over the past few seasons. However, after putting up 3 assists in 6 games whilst playing for Team Europe during the 2016 World Cup of Hockey, Christian Ehrhoff signed a PTO contract with the Boston Bruins in late September. Though he would join the New England franchise for a brief stint, Ehrhoff decided to opt out of his PTO contract and depart from the team before the season began. After leaving the Bruins, the 34-year-old Ehrhoff decided that after 14 seasons in North America, he wanted to return home and play out the final seasons of his career in Germany. So, on October 24, 2016, he signed a contract with the Cologne Sharks of the DEL. Ehrhoff spent the remainder of the 16-17 season with Cologne and had a strong season back in the DEL, as he scored 8 goals and 15 assists for 23 points in 36 games. This offensive renaissance for Ehrhoff helped Cologne make the playoffs, where the former 4th-round pick posted a less impressive 1 goal in 7 games, as the Sharks were eliminated in the quarterfinals by EHC Wolfsburg. Having put up solid numbers in his return to Germany, Ehrhoff decided that he wanted to remain with his new DEL side for another year, so he signed another 1-year contract and returned to Cologne for the upcoming season. The 17-18 season saw a slight drop-off in his production compared to the season prior, but Ehrhoff continued to play very well in the DEL, as he potted 8 goals and 23 assists for 31 points in 52 games. These numbers helped Cologne return to the playoffs once again, where Ehrhoff posted a much more impressive 6 assists in 6 games, but the Sharks were eliminated in the quarterfinals by the Thomas Sabo Ice Tigers. After the 17-18 season concluded, and having spent the last 2 seasons back home in Germany, the 36-year-old Christian Ehrhoff decided that it was time to hang up his skates and call it a career. So, in March of 2018, he announced his retirement from playing professional hockey via a post on his Instagram page. To this day, Christian Ehrhoff is a retired professional hockey player. A brief look at his aforementioned Instagram page shows that he is spending most of his time nowadays away from the sport of hockey with his wife and 3 kids, as well as getting up to all sorts of exciting adventures such as skiing and getting a hold of an actual Oscar award. So I think it's safe to say that Ehrhoff is enjoying his newfound extra free time away from the hockey rink. But regardless of what he is up to now, there is no doubt that Christian Ehrhoff had a pretty impressive NHL career. In 789 NHL regular season games, Ehrhoff scored 74 goals and 265 assists for 339 points, as well as scoring 34 points in 73 playoff games. Though he may never have been the best player at his position at any point in his career, his 2 silver medals at the 2016 World Cup and last year's Winter Olympics with Team Germany, as well as 2 Babe Pratt trophies for the Vancouver Canucks Defenseman of the Year, show that when he was on top of his game, Ehrhoff was one hell of a hockey player. And there you go. That's what happened to Christian Ehrhoff. What do you think about Ehrhoff's career? Was it good, bad, or do you think he should still be playing somewhere in the world? Also, is there another player that you would like me to look at as part of this series? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Chris Gadsby, Kalesbro, Max Artis, and Nat Marlowe, as well as a huge thank you to Ryan Todd for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.